What are some of the favorite sporting events that you have had a chance to cover? I know you've had some great experiences.
Yeah, sometimes the favorite sporting events aren't the same as the ones that are the highlights.
Okay.
For me, some of them are, could be. Remember one of my favorite events ever was a high school basketball game years and years ago in London, and I would only been in at the Free Press maybe 2 or 3 years, and it was an Ontario high school championship basketball game, and it was one of those riveting games between Beale and I even remember it was Beale and Eastern Commerce, and I can remember the game went into double overtime, and Beale had no business being there, no business really playing a team like Eastern Commerce that had all these high-profile stars, and he went into double overtime, and it was riveting. The gym was packed. Beale tied it in the last second to send it into overtime when I think the timer forgot maybe to start the clock at the exact time. And the referee might have called a foul that wasn't there for a three-point play. But regardless, that's what happened.
That's what happened.
And it went into overtime, and I remember Eastern Commerce eventually winning. And what made the game was the whole idea of these kids didn't play for any money. They didn't play for anything except for the love of the game. And both teams were literally exhausted. So when I looked at that picture, that to me was everything. And I remember at the very end, a guy who you guys might know, Tony Marcatulio, who was on that team.
Yeah.
And Tony, coached a lot of good Beale teams afterwards, now coaches up at Fanshawe. He was a guard on that team, and I went up, and it shows you how old I am, and I asked, Tony, that was a really remarkable game. And his team had lost on yet another sort of last-second buzzer beater, and he said, in the end, we gave it everything we could, and God just said, "That's it, boys. You're done for the night." And to me, that quote coming from a high school kid, so that's one of my favorite events I covered. Cool. But a lot of other people would say, "Who cares?" Right? And for me though, I was fortunate. I was in 1986. I was at covering the World Cup in Mexico when Diego Maradona scored with the hand of God goal. And then in the second half scored. Well, not actually the same half. Scored what people consider the greatest goal ever scored in World Cup history against England, both against England. England went on to win 2-1. That's become lore, and so I covered that game in '86.